Now, one other thing I wanted to choose, as I mentioned about making a little bit of randomness, I'm going to go ahead and right click here again and do new event. And now we're going to pick another character, and we're going to have this character only show up a little bit of the time. And I think this is, well, actually, now I think about it, it might be a little bit early to start doing that sort of thing. But let's see. Let's pick, who among the people here? Let's pick this person. That looks pretty good. So now we've got, same as characters action button. Okay, so we've got another person here. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. So what I'll do here, well, maybe not. Let's see, because that might not trigger right. So, okay, anyway, sorry, just trying to think a little bit here as I'm going. So, what I was going to do is show you with either switches or variables whether or not this character, shows up. And I could do that. I'll just do a simple one, I think. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. So for now, we'll just leave this one aside because we haven't talked about Autostart's events yet. So up here in this corner, and you can pick anywhere on the map you want. It doesn't really matter. I just like to use the top corners most of the time. I'm going to go ahead and do new. And now with this one, so that we're going to talk about two important things here actually in this event. Actually three. We're going to do so this is going to be kind of an advanced thing all at once, but sometimes it just works out that way. So we're going to make this below characters, and the trigger down here we're going to use auto run. So what this is going to do is right away when the player enters this map, this event is going to run. And it's going to basically like stop everything that the game is doing so that this event can run. That's what auto run does. It kind of takes over. It's when you need the game to take over. So for here, what we're going to do is choose whether or not the player is going to be able to see our second NPC over here, this person over here. So I'm just going to make it a coin toss, so it's going to be a 50-50 flip. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go right click and go to new, and I'll take this slow and try to explain everything clearly as we're doing it. So this event is going to happen all the time, and we want it to be below characters because we want the player to still be able to walk there. It's not going to be a big thing. So, actually it won't matter the way we're going to set it up. But anyway, we'll see that in a second. So we'll go to new. Now we did show choices. Now we haven't done really switches yet, but we're going to do them here shortly. But what we want to do here is set up a variable. Now we haven't really talked about variables yet. Let me just go back in there again and read the tooltip here. So it changes the numeric value stored in the variable. So variables, all that variables are, like this tooltip is telling you, is a number stored that the game remembers. So we'll click in here, and now we can do singles and range. We just need to do single right now. And if we click this little box here, it says operates one variable. So that's what we want to do. And 0001 is by default. So we'll click this box, and here we see this variable selector window. So by default, you start with 20 slots for variables. And we see over here change maximum. So it changes the number of data entries. So if you wanted 100 variables, then you can just use the arrows, or you can just type on the keyboard 100, hit OK, and they still do them in blocks of 20. So just so it fits in this window space and everything, so it doesn't get too cluttered. But right now we only need 20 because we don't need to increase the maximum. You can always increase the maximum as you're going along. So when you run out of 20, you can do 40, and then it gets the next 20, so on and so forth. So over here we can actually select the individual variable that we want to control. Since we don't have any yet, this will be our first one. So down here in the name box, okay, so you can use apparently F4 and F5 keys to toggle between the next ones. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that, but you can also use the mouse, which is to me a lot easier, but whatever works. So we're going to give this a name. We're going to say, let's say group list. The variables in the selected range are displayed on the right. Okay. Yeah, so this will be the name that name that the variable goes by. You want to set a good name for these because it will help you remember what you were using it for. So in this case, I'm just going to do and one thing you can do, you can set up more generic ones. Like I could call this 50% chance or something like that. And if it's something you can reuse elsewhere in the game, like it doesn't have to be, isolated to just one instance, it's probably a good idea to do that. So we'll just do this for now. 50% chance, we'll just call it that, and we'll hit OK. And now we can see that the variable number 1 actually has a name, 50% chance. So, so how we're going to set this up? So we see all these operations here. It says operation to run on specified variables. So we can either set it, and it says stores the operand to the specified variable. So the terminology here can get a little bit, difficult to follow, especially if you're not a numbers person, which I'm not a numbers person myself. So I'll try to explain it simply as I can. So if you can do set, and we have all these options down here, the operands, which is what it mentioned. So it says value to be used in calculating variables. So basically what's going on here, as it is right now, we have our one variable that we're going to be doing something with, and we named it 50% chance. If we leave it at set, then it's going to set it to whatever we select down here. So right now, the constant value is not going to change as it uses the constant value. So you can set this to whatever you want. So if we wanted to set it to 5, then the variable will be 5. We just set that like that. So right now, by default, and we can go negative numbers too. That's another thing. Just so you know that you can do that. So we can set constant to 0 if we want. But we want this to be possible to be some other value. We want it like if you do a coin flip, it's, think of it like 1 or 2 or 0 or 1 or, on or off, whatever. So we need more than just a constant. So we can do this other option, says use the value of the specified variable. So if we check this, we can say set this variable to the same value as variable number 10 or, whatever. So you can use that if there's a, need for you to do that. So what we want to use actually for this one though is this random option. It says uses a random value between two specified values. So 0 and 0 would be the same as constant 0 because that's the only option. But if we change one of these, even just to 1, so this means it can pick any values from between 0 and 1. So the only choices there are 0 and 1. So you're either only going to get 0 or you're going to get 1. So that's a 50% chance to do either one of those. So, and you could set these to anything you want. You could do 4 and 5 if you like those numbers better. But the point is just, how much you set between. So like if we did, for example, if we did between 0 and 10 for the random, so that would give you a 10% chance of getting any numbers, between, actually it'd probably be 0 and 9 because it'd be 1 and 10, but you get the idea. There's, any number between 0 and 9 could be chosen here, and so, and it will give you, well, we'll see here in just a minute. So we want 0 and 1, so it could be a 0 or a 1. Now these other options that we have here are game data for the variables, which it's not giving me a prompt for some reason. There we go. So it uses a value from various data in the game, so we could either choose the map ID, party members, the goal. There's a lot we can get into here. So, your party members level, whether or not they have enough HP and attack. There's a heck of a lot of stuff you can do. But I'm just going to back out of that for now because that's not one we're going to need for the moment. And you can even have it run scripts if you have certain scripts that could be, controlled using variables and things like that, or the values could interact with the scripts. You can do that. But for now, this is the one we need because we're looking just for a 50% chance of one or the other. So a 0 or a 1. So I'm going to hit OK. And so what that will do is you see this control variable. it says, and we named it 50% chance, and it's going to pick a random value between 0 and 1. So when this runs at the start, because that's what auto run does, it makes it run as soon as the player gets here on this map, it will choose either a 0 or a 1 for this 50% chance variable.